today, May 18th, and in the last 7 to 10 days, I would say that we have had no honey coming in. I've got scales under 2 hives now. I haven't got the 3rd scale put out, but one hive in the last 7 days has gained 2 pounds. Another one has lost 29 pounds. So it probably had a lot of wet nectar in it and has been drying that down. That's where the weight difference comes from. And you can see they just haven't had flight weather. We've had 4 inches of rain in the last 7 days, and it's cloudy and overcast and rain this morning, and it's gonna be thunderstorms this afternoon. So I think we're gonna get like 4 days next week that are sunny and warm, upper 80s and warm. So hopefully we'll get some white clover kicking in. Bees will get out and make the most of what they can get. So I've had a busy week, even though I have not been working bees at all. My daughter had a dance recital. She's 5, and since I make videos, my wife signs me up to make a dance recital video every year. And I've been so busy that I'm behind on that, and she takes orders from other moms for DVDs, so I have had to get that project going. I finally have got the edit just about done on that. It's a lot of work. And I went to a grocery conference this week, so hopefully some good will come of that. It's been busy. What I'm expecting to see in my hives is, again, no weight gain, no honey coming in. And because they've been sitting around at home doing nothing in the rainy weather, they're probably all gonna try to swarm on me. That can happen. Bees get cooped up inside the hive for too long, and it's been raining for 10 days or whatever, and all of a sudden every one of them has got swarm cells in it. So I need to check that. But today I'm basically getting ready to work bees when the sun comes back out. It should happen in the next couple of days, either tomorrow afternoon or Monday. I should be able to get around to production yards. And like I say, I'm expecting them to be swarmy. I've got some ideas on my bigger nukes too. I think I may repurpose them. Try to make the most out of that resource. So I just got done feeding this yard. A couple things. I brought my, I don't know what you'd call this, trash bucket, biosecurity, whatever. Had one feeder with a bunch of dead bees in it and some syrup that was getting old, so I'm taking this away with me instead of dumping it in the yard. Oh, bees are very stingy today. I'm wearing work gloves. They got on my right hand for some reason. Got tagged probably 10 times, right on the same knuckle, and got tired of it. Putting a few pine needles in the well on these feeders, on these small ones. Just on the small ones. The big ones are fine now. They don't have any dead bees in them at all. They've cleaned them out. They're policing everything, but these smaller ones, I think that will help. I think less is more on this. It doesn't take very many pine needles at all, especially these big long leaf ones. Takes 2 or 3 of those. You just bend them up and stick them in there. Gives them something to crawl up on. So I'm up in my nuke yard that's got my biggest nukes in it. My plan for these hives was to get them to draw out 2 mediums and then get an excluder over them, get a 3rd on them, and hopefully they would draw that out on white clover and sumac. Sumac's probably going to start blooming. I think Chinese sumac, some of it is getting started now. Chinese is not what I'm really looking for. It's aramith, I think, is a common name. It's a highly invasive tree. The good flow that we get is on smooth sumac. Staghorn sumac also can make a honey crop, but we do pretty good on smooth sumac in some years, and it's going to probably bloom last week of May to the first couple weeks of June, probably the first week of June. So we're in, I think we're May 18th right now. I don't want these bees doing nothing for the next 2 or 3 weeks. So I think what I'm gonna do is just feed this whole yard, even the ones that are in 3s, and then watch the sumac real close, watch my scale hives real close. If they actually start getting into a flow in the next week off a clover or something else and making weight and drawing foundations and that sort of stuff, then I'll just come pull these frames that have syrup in them and give them to some of my other nukes. I've got, I don't even know how many nukes I've got, 40. I need to set up a whole nother bee yard and fill out an entire another bee yard with nukes. And those are made late enough in the year that they're gonna have trouble getting a double or triple medium drawn out for winter. So if I can get some production out of these, I need comb drawn. So I ran out of comb in the spring, and that really influenced what I could do split wise and what I could do to reduce my swarm impulse in these colonies. And I need comb drawn. So these hives right here will draw comb. They're doing it already. They just need carbohydrates. So probably the highest and best use for them right now is to get some foundations drawn. I've just got to make sure that there's no chance that any syrup gets mixed in with my honey crop. But I think I can do that. I can pull these off and put new foundations on and put these to good use, boosting some smaller nukes that are gonna need some help. Showed up to church this morning. Hear my bees working this magnolia tree. Same family as tulip poplar, but this is not a very good producer. So that tells me there's not a whole lot of quality sources out there for them. Maybe they're getting some pollen from it. They've been bringing in quite a bit of pollen. I'm not real sure what the source is. They're working it pretty hard. So I snuck over here to look at some mating nukes. I need to get an idea of how big they are. This is one that I made on 4.7, but it didn't take. It went queenless. So I dropped another cell in on 4.26. And it obviously took, because they've got 2.5 frames of brood. They've actually got some honey in here, so they look good. They're ready to go. Ready to grow. Nice when it works out. That is a brand new bee. I just watched that one come out. There are bees emerging right now on this frame. I made this nuke up, it looks like, with 4 frames. And they've still got a little bit of growing to do in here, but not much. So I need to get them moved in the next week or so. So this is my first hive inspections in about 10 days, just because we've had an unreal amount of rain. And when bees are cooped up in their hives because of rain, and it's a swarmable time of season. I just made that word up. But you know, this is May 20th. Our peak swarm season is April 5th to May 5th probably. But we get another bump in swarming late May to probably the first week of June. And like I say, they spend 10 days locked up in their hives and they're crowded and there's nothing to do. So they decide to swarm. First several hives have been okay. Had one that was queenless, because I split them on 426 because they had swarm cells then. Now it's almost a month later and that didn't requeen, so I merged a nuke in there that I made with another swarm cell. Got a mated queen back. Got to this hive, and found swarm cells in this box. This was the second box. This was the bottom box. And this has got cells, that's got cells. So I took some cells and probably 4 frames, put them in the bottom, filled it with foundation. And then the second box is nothing but foundation. Most of the bees are in this box, so when the foragers leave today, they'll go back around to the front side. That's where they're oriented to. Most of the foragers from this hive are going to end up in that bottom, and they're on nothing but foundation with a couple of cells in there. So they should think that they've already swarmed. And then I made another split with some more cells that I found, just to, reserve queens are a good thing to have. And then this hive, it had some cells in it as well. It had 3 honey supers almost full, 2 full and 1 they were working on. So I got some production out of them. I moved the hive down to the end. Again, they've got a couple of cells and a bunch of foundation in there. So the foragers that are oriented to that location are going to feel like they swarmed. And then I'll find somebody else to drop these honey supers on. This will give you an idea of what the nectar flow looks like right now. The bees are trying to rob. Every hive I open, they're going toward the gaps, trying to get in. We're in a bit of a nectar dearth. Need something to switch on so the bees will have some honest work to do. So I've got 2 days this week to work bees. So I'm doing everything that I think I need to do. Of course, I'm dealing with swarming colonies, making unplanned splits, and trying to fix queenless colonies and all that stuff. But I'm also doing a lazy shakedown. I moved this entire hive over here. They had some cells, so hopefully the forage force will go back to here. I've got a couple of cells in there and a bunch of foundation. And then I'm putting some supers on top. I'll harvest those off. Deal with that beautiful looking situation later. So I'm doing sort of a lazy shakedown. I want no brood in my honey supers when I run that through the honey house. Brood in the honey supers causes problems. The bees won't leave. You put an escape board underneath the super and the bees won't leave the brood. They just will not. The queen could be up there. There's a lot of things that are bad about having brood in the honey supers. So at this time of year, if I come in and I put a queen excluder underneath the bottom honey super and wait a month, then there won't be any brood at all in these supers. It'll have all emerged, and I'm leaving a crack here so that drones can get out if there are any in there. And that works really well. The correct way, I guess, to do this is you shake all of the bees out of these supers down into the bottom and then put the queen excluder on. That takes a lot of time for someone who's working solo. So I'm just putting the queen excluder on top of the third and putting the supers back on, and I'll come back through here on my next inspection and see if the queen's in the top on any of these. And if she is, I'll be able to find her at that time and move her down, or shake the entire thing down if I have to. So I'm basically just taking a chance that she's already in the bottom, and that's usually a pretty good odds. I'll have a percentage where she'll be above the excluder, but it won't be that big of a percentage. It'll be way less than 50%, maybe 10, maybe 5. So I think instead of shaking every hive down, making a ton of work for myself, this is lazy, but it works. When I opened this drone brood up, there was a varroa, immature varroa on one of those drones. First one I've seen today though. So I just finished up working this yard. Got queen excluders on just on everybody basically. Made a few splits, but just had a couple that were, 2 or 3 that were trying to swarm. I'm saving the honey out of them, and I think I'll save most of the bees out of them too. And hopefully get some extra queens. We're making some honey in this yard. It's not terrific. The early flow was really good, but it was short. And then we got, just got a lot of rain. Bees can't fly when it's raining. But I think hopefully we'll make some headway this week on white clover. And then when smooth sumac starts to bloom, Chinese sumac and then smooth sumac starts to bloom. Really hoping that we'll start seeing white wax again. Even more so than the honey, drawing combs this year is a huge priority for me. It's really important. And it'd be nice to be able to do that and make a honey crop at the same time. Do it on the free stuff. I'm really hoping that smooth sumac will do well this year. That's still a week or 2 away from bloom, and that's the only one that have seen putting a bloom up. Oh, this one's got small blooms too. Maybe it'll be good. I hope so. Well, it's hot today, but it's not as humid. This is May 21st. I've been working hard for 2 days, but I haven't filmed much because, well, to be honest, I've just kind of been enjoying the work. But I'm doing something relatively interesting here, so I'll show you what I'm up to. So this is a hive that was trying to swarm on 425, and I split it with a double screen. I think it did swarm. But I split it with a double screen to try to increase my chances of getting a mated queen back. Well, both halves mated queens. I had this portion on top here and on a double screen facing backwards. Bottom half is queen right, and they've got a honey super here that they have not filled. So I just shook all the bees out of this super back into the bottom here. And I'm gonna put a queen excluder on that. So I know that my queen is in the bottom 2 boxes. I'm gonna need both hands to do this. All right, so I put the super back on. I know the queen is in the bottom 2 boxes. There's an excluder. And I left a gap here that all these confused field bees from this other half of it can find their way back into this colony. That'll weaken this one down some, but they've got plenty of food and bees in there. They'll be fine. Some of them will reorient, but a lot of the field force will come back to here and strengthen this one up. So I'm taking 2 and trying to make 1 honey producer. I think that's a good use of resources. Maybe they'll finish that super out. All right, so since I worked Old 50 yesterday morning, and I think I had 3 hives with some swarm cells in them and split those up. I was afraid I was gonna have a problem after all this rain that we had, hives just sitting there not doing anything, but I don't have a problem. The first queen cells I have found since yesterday morning in that 1 yard, let's see, I've worked Old 50 and then the loop and then the home yard, and now I've worked Spencer's, so 4 yards. I found some cells in this one hive down here. There you go. Yeah, that one. Found some cells in that one, but I think they're super seizure. There were just a couple and they were up on the frame. That queen's got some age on her, I know. She built a massive hive last year and she's done it again this year. So I think they may be superseding, which is fine. I'm not gonna mess with them. We'll check them in a month and see if they've got a queen. They swarm, they swarm. That's okay. They've made honey for me already, so that's good. So everything's going pretty good. I've been enjoying the work, just pushing bees down, getting the excluders underneath and queen checking everything. I've marked a bunch of queens, found a bunch of new queens, and I enjoy finding queens and looking at nukes that are doing good, and just really enjoy that part of it. I enjoy the honey part of it, but it becomes a grind real quick. It's heavy and sticky and hot. It's hard work. And it's coming up soon. I'm gonna have to get on honey extraction sooner rather than later, but I've got some major upgrades to the honey house that I've got to get done before I get started. Everything's last minute. You know, I'm trying to fund my growth out of cash flow, so I don't have anything done when I should have had it done, which was over the winter. I'm doing everything in season, which is not how you want to do it. So here's another trick with a swarming hive. I took most of the hive away and put it on other hive stands, split it up, left some cells, you know, a few frames of brood here, and a couple of boxes of foundation. Put a double screen on top, and put another split from this swarmy colony. Well, now, what I've got here, I've got a queen down here that is laying. They have completely drawn out, almost completely drawn out 3 mediums. This is full of honey. They haven't been fed at all. So, got the bees down, put an excluder in. I've got a box of honey to harvest. I added another super of foundation because they actually show some promise, and hopefully we've got white clover and sumac coming up. And on top of my super of honey I can harvest, I've got another nuke up here. This queen returned as well, and she's doing a good job. So that's turning a bad situation into good, I guess, or making the most of a bad situation. I got 2 new queens, a super of honey, and a nuke out of it. Having much more mixed results on mating success in this yard. The first nuke I made out of a swarm cell, it was laying worker. Second one's successful. This one's good, it didn't swarm or anything. I thought this one swarmed on 427. It just had a low population, didn't dig into it at that time. Just got into it, and it's queenless. So I'm gonna have to merge a nuke into it. Got into this next production colony, and they've gone laying worker. Hopefully you can see all the eggs in those cells. So I'll have to merge a nuke in with them. Hope I can get them fixed. Hopefully the rest of the yard will be better than that. Goodness.